We do love a power trip of an anime with an insanely overpowered MC, but the journey is definitely the most enjoyable part on the path to sheer power. Even better if our weak MC gets betrayed and mistreated, making that ultimate godlike overpowered strength all the sweeter. Great to see you again at Animeology. We've got some brilliant recommendations for you today. Make sure to stick around because chances are you haven't seen all the fantastic series we really suggest you check out. Number 10. Evil or Live. Evil or Live is an exciting Chinese-Japanese anime series that really took the community by storm. The show covers a really interesting aspect of modern social culture, internet addiction, and takes the overarching plot through a very heavy and emotionally filled place. Internet addiction is a very serious issue, and Evil or Live treats this 21st century condition with a very mature and interesting way. This series deals primarily with people afflicted with this condition as they withdraw further and further into the internet and electronic devices. We follow 17-year-old Hibiki after he's been forcibly enrolled into a rehabilitation facility for those suffering from internet addiction. A borderline prison with a cast of interesting characters, a very strange yet fleshed out world, and there's really nothing quite like it. Check out Evil or Live, you will not regret it. Number 9. Garo Hanu no Kokuen. Garo comes from an absolute icon within the anime and manga sector. Yasuko Koyashi has extensive experience working on both Attack on Titan and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Garo has spawned both a film and multiple future series. An awesome and engaging dark fantasy superhero story with some of the most brilliant story arcs that really expand upon the incredible world of Garo. Honu no Kokuen is the first of these exceptional arcs and is set in the kingdom of Valanti. We're thrown into a world filled with chaos, a battle of knights and alchemists, and a story of kings and noblemen. Garo does not hold back, and we really see the complex and intricate pacing that Yasuko comes through in this brilliant series. Following the young Prince Alfonso as he seeks the assistance of the Golden Knight Garo in order to reclaim the throne of the kingdom that is rightfully his. Garo is a series that will have you hooked from every angle. Number 8. Cross-Ang. This is an exceptional mecha series that chooses to focus on the heavy drama and plot elements rather than the insane action that the mecha genre can naturally be found in. Don't worry, we still do have some epic fight scenes and battles, but you will soon realize that the strength of Cross-Ang lies elsewhere. Following the development of some incredible and groundbreaking technology, some of the biggest issues facing the world, such as pollution and war, have disappeared. Planet Earth is a truly peaceful and happy place. However, this is a false peace, and we soon learn that this utopian civilization is not as great as it would like it. There exists a huge societal divide between the classes. The social construct within the world of Cross-Ang exists between the oppressors and the oppressed. As viewers, we are thrust deep into a tale of mistrust and betrayal, uncertain of characters and their true motivations. A brilliant watch with exceptional twists and turns that develop well as the series progresses, introducing more and more interesting concepts that keep us engaged. Cross-Ang is a series you do not want to miss out on. Number 7. Tales of the Abyss. Based on a highly successful video game, the Tales of the Abyss series has spawned an entire franchise, including a highly successful manga, as well as a brilliant anime that captures some of the most intriguing aspects of the video game. As opposed to most games turned into animes, Tales of the Abyss is not a visual novel. Therefore, branching storylines are not an issue, and the anime largely follows the same plot with a similar outcome. Set on a foreign planet called Aldrant, we are cast into an interesting blend of both sci-fi and fantasy, a tale of prophecy and epic battles. Follow the battles between the Holy Order and the military in a surprisingly mature and dark take on real-life politics. Our MC, Luke von Favre, is a simple teenager suffering from amnesia. Not really aware of his true powers and destiny, we slowly see our MC mocked and then learn who he truly is. A nice journey with an interesting cast of characters and set against the backdrop of this highly engaging battle. It's no surprise that Tales of the Abyss has become as successful as it is. Number 6. Inuyashiki. A more mature and unique series that is definitely a lot stranger than you're used to. It's a heavy dose of science fiction and technically stars superheroes, but some of the animations and visuals are really horrific. This is darker than most, but such a brilliant watch that we really recommend checking it out. The titular character, Inuyashiki, is older than most MCs that we meet, a lonely and sad man that is largely ignored by his own family. One day, his body gets transformed into an insanely powerful and alien mechanical body. He basically gets the power of a superhero. Unfortunately, he also met a teenager that gets similar powers, but decides to use his newfound powers for evil. Murdering and harming innocent people around him, the police cannot do anything about him, and it's up to our unlikely hero to save the day. Although there exists some insane visuals and impressive fight throughout Inuyashiki, the strength of this series lies with the titular character, a brilliant and strongly written MC that had us engrossed from the very first episode. Number 5. Quanshi Fashi.
看你们表演半天了，现在该轮到我了。
Starting off as a classic high school fantasy anime, there is a reason that Quanshi Fashi is considered one of our favourites. The story of a high schooler that gets thrown headfirst into a world filled with magic, with the goal of becoming the greatest magician that ever lived in a dangerous world with magical beasts surrounding the outskirts of the city. We follow an MC that lives a life of emotional torture. From teachers and students that dislike him, a father that struggles financially, and even a stepsister that cannot walk. Quanshi Fashi piles the pressure onto our weak MC. As a viewer, you can't help but root for this underdog in the hopes that he rises above it all. But the story doesn't pan out as simple as that, as we follow some interesting twists and turns in this high school concept urban fantasy series that is really unlike anything we've ever seen. Number 4. The Heroic Legend of Arslan. An awesome fantasy anime series set in the foreign and exotic lands of ancient Persia. The Heroic Legend of Arslan is actually based on a famous historical tale, bringing to life some iconic historical characters and settings and adding a brilliant dark fantasy spin to it. The Heroic Legend of Arslan also takes the classic story to new heights. Starting off in a world very much grounded in reality, we slowly start to realize the existence of a very powerful magic and some very horrific beasts that roam the earth. From giants to ghouls to winged monkeys. However, the bulk of the story surrounds the war taking place between human armies, rival nations that deal with themes of royalty, slavery, and human rights, introducing concepts such as religious obsession and the horrors of a class-based system. Following the story of the crown prince of a nation divided as he falls from grace and needs to gather support and rise to the ranks until he is king once more. An epic journey with an interesting cast of characters and some very cool animation design. This is a series you do not want to miss out on. Number 3. Ajin, Demi-Human. A bit scary, but definitely worth a watch. Ajin is an interesting dark fantasy series with some supernatural elements. Extremely thrilling with some genuinely frightening monster designs. This manga series has since been adapted into both an anime series and a well-received film, following the story of Nagai, a classic high school student that discovers that he isn't as normal as he initially thought. After being hideously wounded in a traffic accident, Nagai learns that he is actually an Ajin, this demi-human type being that is immortal with insane regenerative powers. Ajin also have the ability to summon black ghosts, extremely dangerous ghouls that fight alongside the Ajin but are invisible to all else. We slowly start to learn the true story behind the Ajin and the human race, how they are considered dangerous by the general public and hunted and experimented on by the government due to their incredible levels of power. This insane regeneration is harnessed by the government in order to produce an infinite amount of organs for transplants, among other horrific things. We slowly start to learn of the Ajin's uprising and our MC that gets thrown into the middle of this raging shadow war. A balancing act with untrustworthy characters and a brilliant twisting storyline. Number 2. 91 Days.
コルテオの仇を討つつもりだったのか。
Legitimately one of the most brilliant and classy anime series we've ever come across, 91 Days is a heavy crime drama and flawlessly executed period piece set in the Prohibition of 1928 in the heart of America. In a world of lawlessness and the mafia, we follow a young Angelo, a man whose family was murdered by the Italian mafia, and his quest for revenge. 91 Days kicks off 7 years after the grisly murder of Angelo's family, after he returns back to the scene of the crime and befriends the son of the Don, Nero. 91 Days is an interesting tale with heavy action scenes and quick-witted dialogue. However, the heavy themes of revenge, death, friendship, loneliness, and morality are concepts you will not expect in an anime such as this. An interesting anime that is hard to not fall in love with, choosing to show the humanity of people rather than painting the classic good guy, bad guy situation. 91 Days will have you thinking about it long after 91 days have passed. Number 1. Blast of Tempest. A brilliant overarching plot with an interesting dark fantasy vision with an engrossing mystery tale that will have you glued till the very end. An absolute masterclass in storytelling around a mysterious murder and a hunt for the truth. We follow Mahiro, a teenager whose stepsister and close friend was mysteriously murdered alongside her parents a year before. Thrown into even stranger circumstances, our hero begins to unravel the trail of lies on his journey to uncover the harsh truth behind the grisly murders, bringing in some extremely concerning and high-concept themes into the Blast of Tempest. This series is actually heavily based on the works of Shakespeare, primarily Hamlet and The Tempest, two tales of retribution and vengeance. Some interesting plot mechanics with heavily interwoven side stories. Blast of Tempest is a series you need to watch if you want to consider yourself a true anime fan.